Hello, everyone. So, welcome to the Queerness Diaries, already on episode 13. And today I'm joined by Juan Castillo. How are you today, Juan?
Hello, I'm very excited to be in this episode with you.
Yeah, I'm so happy to have you all the way from Barcelona, especially now I'm back in England with the autumn weather. And know you're still in the summertime over there. And so, yeah, thank you so much for coming on today. And so, we're going to go through kind of the story of your lifetime, not like the Katy Perry song, but go through all the eras and everything from your life. So, yeah, thanks so much for coming on, first of all.
Thank you for also letting me participate in your podcast.
Yeah, it's fit. So, great to have you on. And so, what we always do is, so I always get each guest to give themselves like a proper introduction, so where they're from and what they're doing, and then we go through well your queerness diary. So we go all the way back to the very beginning. So, if you, when you're ready, if you can just give us like basically what
Okay,
you're doing
sure.
now, and we'll go then from there into
Okay, so I'm Juan, as you said. Right now, I'm 28 years old. I was born in Colombia, but I live in Barcelona like since 5 years ago. I went to business school, so I graduated as a business administrator. Um, so that's one part of myself. But at the same time, as I am a gay man, of course, and I am a certified spiritual life coach and
yeah.
also an empath. I don't know if you have heard this word before, but an
Ah,
empath
yeah, empath. Yeah,
is a person that can really get affected by the energy of the people and the places. So like
yeah,
for me, it's like whenever I go to some events, like I start feeling like overwhelmed because I feel a lot the energy of the places.
yeah,
I can somehow sometimes not always feel how people is feeling. So
yeah,
if you're feeling sad right now, I can start feeling sad as well. Like
yeah,
it's really
yeah,
strange, but this is how I am as well. As I was explaining to you, I'm a certified spiritual life coach. So I have like my own brand. I help people along their spiritual awakening because it's a very challenging situation when you start to wake up.
yeah,
You feel that you don't fit anymore. Like the more consciousness you have, the least you fit into like this matrix. I call it matrix because you
yeah,
start like ascending in your consciousness, so like you feel like weird that you don't fit in, like you start having less interest in some topics and you're getting apart from all of your friends. Like it's kind of like a struggling process. So
yeah,
I help people to integrate the spiritual awakening with the human life. Because at the end we will never stop being humans, right?
yeah,
So we want to integrate and have that imbalance. I also am creating a brand which is called Anxiety, which is specialized in helping gay men to heal their relationship with anxiety. Because the anxiety, I've been battling a lot with the anxiety since I was a kid. Of course,
yeah,
I know that anxiety is one of the consequences of like growing up in a homophobic environment.
yeah, yeah,
So basically, what we do is like we help gays to have a better relationship with anxiety. It will never disappear, but you can learn how to regulate it and how
yeah,
to have it less common and less strong in your life. Because what we end up doing with anxiety is like we end up using it as a mechanism to cope because we start like to anticipate too many things because we don't want to suffer anymore. But that's
yeah,
like a
so true.
non-efficient mechanism.
Yeah,
This is what it is about. And I also have a podcast with another life coach that I met in my certification. But beyond being a podcast, it's like a safe space for gay men. We address the consequences of growing up in homophobic environments and also the challenges of the gay life.
yeah,
Being being gay is not a problem, but all the problems that we suffer is because of the homophobia of the environment that you grow up, where you grew up,
yeah,
sorry.
so true.
And in this community that is called Powerment, we support and guide each other in the process of self-knowledge, personal development, and awakening of the consciousness. We share
Yeah.
tools, techniques, and strategies from our life coaching certification and also from our own personal experiences.
Yeah.
And I'm so sorry for everyone because English is not my native language.
No,
So,
you're doing great. Honestly, you're doing great.
but but of course I'm gonna have some flaws, mistakes. So, and I know
No,
your audience is English speakers, so
but no,
letting them
honestly,
know.
you're doing great. Yeah, perfect. And yeah, it's so nice to get that introduction. And it's so true about anxiety as well, because it really shapes us, like the things that we go through all the way from childhood. And then as we sort of awaken into ourselves and our sexuality and build up these walls of protection. And so I think it would be really good to sort of go back to sort of your experience growing up in Colombia, and so a bit about your upbringing, if you have any siblings, and what life was growing up.
Of
So
course.
growing up, and when you sort of first got that feeling, like, okay, yeah, I am definitely not straight.
You know what? Like as a child, I think like I was never a child properly because like I always consider myself like being more mature and maybe more adult than
Yeah,
other kids surrounding me. And I
yeah,
think it's part of like I realized like very young that I was gay. Of
yeah,
course, at that moment I couldn't say I am gay, but I knew that I had some curiosity or attraction towards men, and
yeah,
I perfectly knew that that was not accepted in my environment, that that was not correct, that that shouldn't happen. So basically, what happened is like I knew that I had to hide it,
yeah,
uh, and also like I knew that I had to wait until I grow up to be able to experience it. I really knew it like since I was like 5 years ago, 5 years old, sorry. And also like when I was born in Colombia, I never liked it to be there. Like I always knew that I never belonged there. So what happened is
yeah,
like my inner child, like my version of 5 years old, was constantly thinking in the future. No, that's
yeah,
the relationship with anxiety because I was never in the present. I was
yeah,
always in the future, thinking forward about like when I move out from Colombia, when I'm gonna be able to explore this curiosity that I have,
yeah,
because I mean I've talked to psychologists and therapists, and they say like this curiosity is actually very normal. Now,
yeah,
what happens is like I was not feeling it towards the girls, I was feeling it towards men, which is different, right?
yeah,
But
yeah,
I knew since the beginning that I had something to hide, and that's when I think the anxiety it starts because
yeah.
like you gotta be alert, you gotta be like always thinking everything you're gonna say, everything you're gonna do because you don't want anyone to notice this flaw, this thing that
Yeah.
you gotta hide. So this is like my early years. I also have like by the way, I have a gay brother who is 2 years younger than me, and I have a sister who is 4 years older.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, my parents, I mean, I consider that they were homophobic. I mean, not the most homophobic people, but
Yeah.
they were not supportive. Like, it was not a safe environment in which I could say, "Hi, I'm gay. Hi, I'm feeling this." Like, of course, no. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I think like I had a very strict parents. Like right now, no, they have changed a lot. But in that time, like I really felt like I needed to give my best in everything,
Yeah. Yeah. I understand.
which
Yeah.
also boost anxiety as well, no? Because it's like
Yeah.
I think like acceptance in my family was something really complicated. So I was constantly trying to get it, no? Like being the best at the school, like being a good kid, like trying somehow to get their acceptance. But I felt like it was never enough. They never knew this, but this is how I felt it.
Yeah.
I I also experienced bullying, like in, I mean, since always, to be honest, like in the kindergarten. I remember my parents telling me like other kids were like punching me, like beating me, and they had even to change my me from kindergarten because like
Yeah.
this is how they coped with it. But then in the primary school, I remember I also like one of the most traumatic events for me is that we were in an English class and they were teaching us how to say my name is. And I remember one of my like classmates didn't get it, and I was like telling him, I was explaining to him like, you gotta say my name is plus say your name. But I
Yeah.
don't know why I decided that like I told him like it is as if I say my name is Rosa. In the moment I say Rosa, which is like
Yeah.
a feminine name, all my classmates started to laugh at me and like to bully me. And in that moment, it was something that could happen because I mean we were kids. But since I knew like I had this attraction towards men, I
Yeah.
felt like exposed. And I remember
Yeah.
like
I understand.
from that day, I was like very alert to like
Yeah.
be very masculine and like take care of everything I was saying. Because
Yeah.
also I never liked soccer, and like I think like Colombia is a very heteronormative. I don't know if that's a word
Yeah.
in English.
Heteronormative. Yeah. Yeah.
So like you were expected, at least in my time, like to play football and like to be this heteronormative kid, which I wasn't
Yeah.
for sure. So I remember like constantly being worried about like what my classmates were gonna think about me, because I never fit in that environment. Like I remember they were playing like FIFA on the Xbox and PlayStation and all of that. I never
Yeah.
liked it. I was never good at it. I never knew how to do it. So I remember that I struggled with that. Then I continued growing up, and then I changed from school. Like when I was in high school, I changed school to
Yeah.
another one, and I also suffered bully again. Not because of like being gay, but I always knew that I had to hide that. So
Yeah.
during all the school time, I never had experiences with men. I never kissed anyone. I never had sex. Like
Yeah.
like, and this is also something really important because straight people is usually like getting those experiences when they are like 13, 14, and
Yeah.
you skip that. No, and
Yeah.
what
That's
ends
so
up
true.
happening
Yeah.
is when you discover that you're already like 18 in my case,
Yeah.
and then you have a delay of 5 years of experiences.
Yeah. It's so true.
No, and you know
Mhm.
what the consequences of that is like you didn't live your the things where you should have lived, and then
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
want to live everything in one day. You want to experience everything at the same time.
Yeah, it's
uh
overwhelming sort of when that happens because it's like you feel like making up for lost time because you've seen the other kids through school sort of live their authentic lives, and then suddenly it's a few years later and it feels like, oh, I've lost all this time. So I want to do everything now. And you get
eh,
anxiety from that as well and sort of pressure internally.
yeah, and horrible consequences that comes
Yeah.
with that. um, so basically like my entire school I never had like a sexual identity, in the way of like I never kissed anyone. Like I remember going to parties and all of that, but not experiencing with anyone, and always afraid that someone was gonna come and tell me something about you are gay. No, because you are the
Yeah.
weirdo. Like you are the one who doesn't kiss anyone. Like no,
Yeah.
like always with this fear. But however, like I graduated from high school, and then I went to my university. Like I started in one university, but I remember like in that university, everyone was like, again, I mean, in the first year of university, it's expected people is like having sex and all of that. And I was having nothing because
Yeah.
I didn't have like my sexuality very clear to myself, because you gotta first get out of the closet with yourself first. And this
Yeah.
is
So
what
true.
I never did in that moment. So I had like a crisis because I was like, I felt like asexual. I don't know if that's a word in English. Like when
Yeah.
when you have no sexuality, I felt in that way.
Yeah, yeah, I understand. Yeah,
Like I was like I see like my I had like only straight friends in that university, and they were kissing and having sex, and I was like, am I a weirdo? Like am I what's wrong with me? Like I don't desire anyone. And that's when like I had this snowball that started to grow and grow and grow because I felt like in crisis. I felt
yeah,
that I had to define myself, but I was really, really, really scared of like accepting that I was gay because I never thought my parents would accept me. Like that was my biggest fear. And I mean, as a spoiler, my parents right now are very, very supportive. But in that moment, I was super scared. So I remember that what happened is like I told my parents like I'm not happy in this university. I'm just gonna change university. But what really happened is I was not happy with myself. It was not
Yeah.
about the place. It was I was not happy in my own skin.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then I changed university and same thing happened. I didn't find my place there because I hadn't found myself first.
Yeah.
So I went on like a depression. I remember I had to go to the psychiatrist and I took medication for that. I couldn't cope. I had to go back to my to home to recover. And I stayed there like 1 year, maybe. Like I stopped my university. I went back. And then that's when I really faced the issue like something is going on with my sexuality. Like, and I remember like being super scared, like, because in
Yeah.
that moment you realize it's something you cannot change. It's like, it has no
Yeah.
solution. It has no, like, there's no other thing than accepting. And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
scary as fuck. Um, but I remember like, then I thought I was okay. I was fine. I was able to start again university, but still like no sexuality. And in that new university, again, I was not happy. But I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I cannot change anymore. I have lost a lot of money. I mean, my parents, I
Yeah.
cannot. I really
Yeah.
need to continue this university. And I remember like, okay, I'm just gonna explore with guys because what my excuse is, it was always that I felt attraction towards guys, but at the same time, like I felt that it was gross. So that was always my excuse. So I decided that I was gonna allow myself to have like few experiences with guys, and that was always a result. I started having sex with guys, but then at the end having like this sensation of like it was gross, that I didn't like it, but it was kind of like not being able to accept it. But then
Yeah.
I remember like after a few experiences of having sex with guys, I was like, it's impossible. Like, I mean, I have had 5 gay sexual experiences. It's impossible that I continue telling myself that I'm not gay. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
in that moment, I realized and I accepted it. And I remember I was super afraid. First, I accepted to myself only, of course, like not tell
Yeah.
anyone else. But I remember like I had like my friend, my a group of friends that were very supportive with me, and then I got out of the closet with them. And then in my university, it was like a process, not everyone at the same time,
Yeah.
but in that moment, like I really got like really empowered, and I told myself like I deserve a place, I deserve to be treated properly, like I deserve to have a voice to express, like I deserve
Yeah.
everything as well as like as any other straight person.
Yeah.
um, and I was able to get out of the closet, but not with my family. Like it came
Mm.
like few years later.
Yeah.
uh, but then like I started to I experienced the gay life. No, I started partying and
Yeah.
getting
Yeah.
into the gay community. Um, then I had the opportunity to come to Barcelona as an academic exchange just for
Yeah.
5 months. And here in Barcelona, I fell in love for the very first time in my life with a guy.
Yeah.
And that's when I decided that I needed to tell my parents.
Yeah.
Like I was like, if I don't start now, it's it's a process that it's gonna take long. And if I don't start it now, when am I
Yeah.
gonna be able to get like the
Yeah.
benefits of
You didn't
it?
want to hold off. Yeah.
Like no more waiting. And at that time, like me and my brother had already like accepted that we were both gays. Like we knew about each other, but my brother was super afraid of telling my parents, like, don't do that. And I was like, I'm just gonna do it. So
Yeah.
I remember that one day I was drunk in a club, and I was like, okay, this is the moment to tell my parents. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
texted my daddy in on Instagram on WhatsApp, and I told him that I was gay. And but I was still in Barcelona, so I was like, I don't have to face it. So I continued partying.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. That's like,
but I remember my parents, like, it was really tough for them, especially my mom. Like, she almost got crazy. Like, she couldn't cope with that. Like, she was suffering a lot. She even stopped talking to me. Like, it was only my dad who was talking to me in contact.
yeah,
And my brother had to face everything because he was in Colombia with them. Like, I wasn't with them. So my brother was hating me. But then,
yeah,
like, my parents also asked him if he was gay, and then so he also got out with my parents. So, and I think it was like after that, we never talked about being gay anymore. Like, that was a topic that it was never
yeah. You
talked.
sort of buried it kind of for a while.
Yeah. And I
Yeah,
think it's part of the process. It's like
yeah, it's true.
you throw the bomb
Yeah,
and like it explodes, and like suddenly like there is silence.
yeah,
Then I came to live to Barcelona, and I think like one of the reasons why I left Colombia is also that, because I never felt accepted, and I never felt like that acceptance from my family and from the environment. And
yeah,
when I was living here, that I was openly gay. I remember that when I had some experiences and some when I was knowing someone, or if I was dating someone, I knew that I had to start working again with my parents. So I was every now and then telling them, yeah, I'm just gonna do this trip with this guy that I met, and I'm hanging out and this, because
yeah,
it's a process that you gotta like. From my perspective, you gotta teach them. No, like if you let them to for completely forget the topic,
yeah,
like you go back to the beginning. So
yeah. It's true.
until finally I was able to get a guy into my home. Like, he flew with me. My parents met him,
Yeah,
and that was a huge moment for me. I was like, wow, I can't believe this is happening. Like, my parents accepting someone to sleep in my home, not in my same bed, of course, because my parents are very
yeah.
very conservative. But we traveled together to the beach, and
Ah, that's great.
I
Yeah,
couldn't believe such support that I received from them.
yeah. So it's like a big turning point, and probably for your brother too. I imagine with them as well, like a big turning point.
Yeah, but I think like he should be also very thankful that this happened. Like, and I did
Yeah,
something that he was not able to. Like, it was like we worked together on this. No, like
yeah, it's
group. It
true.
was group work.
Yeah, right. No, that's so awesome as well because that was the similarly for me with my mom and my sister. Like my dad never accepted it, but I remember I was 25 or maybe 26 in Madrid, and it was October 2018. I said to my whole family, even though I came out years before, I said, look, I'm with my boyfriend now. You accept it or you don't because I don't care. Dad's going off and it's a whole complicated divorce thing with my parents. It was like me and dad will never speak again. But with my mom and sister, I'm like, accept me or don't. And literally 2 or 3 weeks later, they flew out to Madrid. They met me, my boyfriend. They stayed the weekend. We went to Toledo and like all around together. And
Yeah,
since then, there's never been like the relationship just grew with them. And I remember that being the moment. And I didn't know how they were going to take it when I said, but at the time, my boyfriend was like, you can't keep hiding this. Like, you need to just
horrible,
because it
horrible.
was such like a double life almost, and it becomes so difficult when you feel like you're living a double life, especially as a gay man, we're used to playing different characters and versions of ourselves to protect us through
Totally
school and university, and when it's with family as well, it becomes exhausting, and you just want to eventually, when you meet someone that you have a connection with and build this relationship, you want to be able to share that connection, but you don't want the rejection. So yeah, luckily for both of us, we have quite a similar experience in that case. And it's like, thank goodness, because so many people don't. And it's like, I think once the band-aid's off and, once parents, sisters, siblings, whoever have met your partner, it becomes a lot easier for them and everything sort of flows more organically after that, I think.
Totally, because like my relationship with them was very superficial with my parents, because
Yeah.
I was never able to really tell them what I was doing,
Yeah.
anything, because everything that was involving me was about being gay. Like
Yeah.
I'm with my gay friends in a gay club or in the gay beach. Like, what can I tell
Yeah.
them if they're not gonna accept anything? Like, so my relationship with them was like, hi, how are you? Good, and you, right? Like, no details, and it's
Yeah.
horrible because you don't deepen the connection with them. Like, and that's what I didn't want to, and like I think we still have like the consequences of that being for years, because like
Yeah.
years of like not being able to communicate who I was. You can tell it right now in our relationship, we're not that close as many other parents with their children. Like we are not in that moment,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. So,
still it does not feel very comfortable. Like if like right now, like even though they accept me and like brought this guy to my home and all of that, like right now I'm single, and if I meet someone, like I don't feel fully comfortable telling them, because I
yeah.
can perceive still it's like a bit uncomfortable for them, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I understand completely. And when you arrived to Barcelona, because I know for me, when I arrived to Madrid, so I'd felt like I'd kept, like I said, playing the characters and versions. Did you feel like suddenly everything's very overwhelming? Like I can be completely myself, but who am I? That's because that's what I felt like. I'm like, who actually am I? Like, and I was going to all these gay parties and all these things that I'd never done before. But in the back of my head, I was always like, well, I've never had a boyfriend before, so I want to meet, the Prince Charming. So
Yeah.
it's like all these different things. And I'm like, who actually am I? Because I've played a chameleon, a sort of character for so long. I'm not sure if it was similar for you when you arrived in Barcelona, that sort of first few months.
No, for me it was actually different, because like I lived that moment when I was in Colombia.
Ah, yeah,
Like I partied, and like this crazy moment of my life I experienced there.
yeah,
What happened to me is like when I came to Barcelona, in firstly I came for an academic exchange. As
yeah,
soon as I landed in this city, as I told you at the beginning, I'm very empath and I feel the energy of the places. As soon as
yeah,
the plane landed in Barcelona, I felt like this was my place. Like I have a very special connection with Barcelona, even though I hate some stuff here because this place is not perfect. Any place in the world is perfect, but
yeah,
I felt an instant connection that this was the place that I had been looking for since
yeah,
always. Because I told you, like when I was a kid, I never wanted to live in Colombia. I was constantly telling my parents, like, let's move out of Colombia. I don't like Colombia. So like I was constantly thinking about where is my place. And when I landed in
yeah,
Barcelona, I felt like this was my place. And
yeah,
what happened afterwards is like, while I was in my academic exchange, that I initially thought I was gonna party a lot and I was gonna have like this crazy life as well, as you mentioned. At the beginning, it was like that, but
yeah,
I already had gay experiences in Colombia, so I was not like eager and like
yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't want to eat the world. No, like it was not like that.
yeah,
Uh, but what happened to me is like I had an spiritual awakening in Barcelona, which is
yeah,
completely the opposite. Because
yeah.
I remember I read a book, which is The Power of Now. I don't know if you have heard it. The Power
Oh,
of
yes.
Now of Eckhart Tolle. And it changed my life for always. Like I
Yeah,
completely realized like I had been living a life in my mind with my ego, but I realized there is something beyond inside yourself. There is like your consciousness, and
yeah,
I had never connected with that. And thanks to that book,
yeah,
I created this awareness. I meditated for the very first time in my life,
yeah,
and I experienced like a peace that I never experienced, because I was constantly like looking for fun, sex, party, like all of this, like but
yeah,
that's I think like that's a trap, because you are never fulfilled and you are never happy.
yeah.
Like
It's so
you're
true.
constantly thinking what's next and what's next, right? So
Yeah.
what happened to me is with that book, I experienced like an inner peace that I was like, what the fuck? Like never
Yeah.
in my life experienced that. And I was so like in peace with myself. I was like, because
So
the
good.
book is called The Power of Now. So it was teaching you how
Yeah.
to live in the now. Because
Yeah.
I had lived all my life in the future because I have a big tendency to be anxious. So I was constantly in the future,
Yeah,
controlling the
I
future.
understand. Yeah.
And and this was like a huge medicine for my soul that someone was
Yeah.
teaching me how to stay in the fucking present, stay in the fucking now, because
Yeah.
most of the problems you think you have, they don't exist in the present. Think
Yeah,
about
it's
it.
so true.
It
Yeah.
just exists in your mind, but in a in other time that is not now. No, and
Yeah.
probably when that time comes, those problems are not going to exist either. Like because
Yeah.
everything is just
Yeah.
a product of your mind. So for me, Barcelona was the place where I discovered who I was truly in my essence. Like I think when I was in Colombia, I never allowed myself to be myself. I
Yeah.
was constantly with masks, like trying to pretend I like, and this is very common when you're a gay,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
because you have never been fully accepted. So you are like craving acceptance, and you do whatever you need to be accepted. And this was my life in Colombia.
Yeah.
I mean, Colombia is a very classist society and very heteronormative. Like, and I always tried to fit in. And but when I came to Barcelona, where no one knew me, I decided
Yeah.
that okay, I'm gonna be myself, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna build my tribe.
Yeah, like your crew, like your group of
Yeah,
people. Yeah.
exactly. But from my essence, like from really I am,
Yeah.
and then like this place has been the place that had let me be who I am really like, which I'm still discovering every day because every day you take out a new layer that you had that
Yeah.
was
It's
not
so
your
true.
truth. And
Yeah.
this place allows me like every day I get out from this door, I know that because something I love from Spain or at least Barcelona is nobody gives a fuck about you, nobody gives a fuck what you do, what you wear, what you speak,
Yeah. It's
nothing.
so true.
And
Yeah.
it's amazing as a place because it gives you freedom of being who you really are.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true. It's like when it's true, it's almost like an onion, like peeling back the layers, and you
Yeah,
uncover different parts of yourself that you never even realized. Yeah, maybe they were in there, but they were so bottled up or so restrained from like the walls
totally.
you put up that sort of as you peel, like if you imagine like an onion, the layers away, you're like, oh yeah, I've got this aspect of myself that I really enjoy, or I really get creative with this. And it's like different parts of yourself get unlocked as the years or months. It's different sort of time space for everyone as it goes along. And it's like really, yeah, it's like an such a nice experience because it's like unlocking different parts of yourself which maybe were always there but they were buried. And it's like it gives you a zest for life again, if you know what I mean.
And you live lighter. Like
Yeah.
your life feels way lighter. Like you don't need to carry that weight on your shoulders because
Yeah,
like
it's so true.
when you create a character, it's really it's exhausting.
Yeah.
Pretending to be someone who you aren't, it's exhausting.
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah, I think as well with characters, like it's difficult because I feel like even in the gay community, like a lot of people will play these different characters and stuff to
So
try and fit in. And I definitely remember for myself when I went to Madrid, I didn't fully know, like I said, who I was, but I was just authentically myself like the first year, whatever that was, and just unlocking things as time went on. But suddenly, when I was in a relationship, everything was wrong about me again. And it took me back to when I was in England, where I felt like everything was wrong. So after the relationship, I felt like I really played a character, and that was to my own detriment because I couldn't keep the act up, and then COVID hit, and it was like, and it's only been in the last sort of like year that I've got to, and every day I'm like you, I'm finding like different things about myself. Like it's like I've sort of had this expression like let the mask go, and once it goes, it's like once everything's
It's a
out there on the
scary,
table, it's
it's a
like
scary to get out to take out the
yeah,
mask,
yeah,
but it's such a relief.
yeah, it's so true. And I wanted to know as well, like with you, with your journey with Barcelona, what sort of inspired you to go on this journey to becoming a life coach now and to really help the community? And what was it something that when you arrived in Barcelona, like you sort of always had a passion for, or is it really grown in the last few years?
I mean, when I arrived to Barcelona, because I first came on an academic exchange, as I told you, and then I had like this spiritual awakening, and then I went back to Colombia. But I when I went back, I decided like, okay, because it was for me mandatory to go back, because it was
Yeah,
just an exchange. I had to go back to finish my studies there. But I knew that I could just do one semester in Colombia, and then the last two semesters I could do it abroad if I wanted, like online, because in that moment we had to find like an internship. So my
yeah,
plan was, okay, I'm gonna go to Colombia for 5 months. I kept my relationship because I fell in love with a guy, and then I started a relationship when I was in Barcelona. Then I had to go back to Colombia, but we decided to do like long distance relationship. And thanks God to the Power of Now book, I was
yeah,
able to cope and manage that relationship. Like it never gave me any anxiety, any worry. I was like truly living in the present. And
yeah,
I went back to Colombia, I was really decided that I was gonna move back to Spain, no matter how, no matter like what I had to do, I was gonna do it. Like
yeah,
I really felt like that this inner call that you gotta go back to Spain. And everything I had to do was like to find an internship.
yeah,
Uh, this is what I needed, and so I decided to like to find out like manifestation methods and use your energy to track it. And I did all like everything you can
yeah,
find on YouTube and Google. I did everything to
yeah,
I did like on my vision board with me, my boyfriend, Barcelona, and even the salary I wanted to get for that internship. But it
yeah,
was really, really hard because, like I'm not Spanish yet. Still, I'm still in the process to become a citizen. But in that moment, I was fully Colombian, like, and I had
yeah,
no papers, and it's really tough. Like you get hired in, at least in Spain, being a foreigner, because
yeah,
they don't give a fuck. They're like, okay, I'm just gonna hire someone locally, and that's it. Like another
yeah,
European, another Spanish. So I knew that it was not gonna be easy, but I trust my capacity to manifestate and stuff. And I was like, I'm just gonna get that
yeah,
fucking internship no matter how. And I really got it. Like they hired me
yeah,
from
that's
Colombia,
awesome.
then I
Yeah,
came back. But when I came, I knew that I didn't want to do any masters. That's what I had very clear. I didn't know what
yeah,
I was gonna do. I got a job in finance in a
yeah,
company in Barcelona. I didn't know what I was gonna end up doing, which right now is so different than in that moment. But what I knew is I didn't want to get masters because for me,
yeah,
like since I was already like in this spiritual awakening path, for me, a master's, in my case, it's my personal opinion. If I was gonna do a master's in finance, it was gonna be bullshit because
yeah,
they're not gonna teach you something useful.
yeah,
It's just a fucking title that you get that helps you to get better jobs, better salary,
yeah,
but it does not teach you anything
yeah,
like truly. So I wanted something to feed my soul. So I knew like no masters, and I told my parents because my parents were like, "Dude, you gotta do a masters." No, you know, like the typical path that you get
yeah,
into this matrix. And I was like, "That's not my path," but I didn't know which was. So basically, I continued this spiritual awakening and this process, and then I read a book that he was talking about that most of the people in this world work for money, but not for passion. Like
yeah, it's so
most of
true.
us do it just for money, and you are basically just one of the pieces of the. like, wait, I
Yeah.
gotta, I
Yeah, like
gotta,
piece of the puzzle, yeah. Like so
yeah, like of the year, no, like,
yeah, like
the,
yeah,
I mean,
just like a
what they
part of
say
the
is like,
system, yeah.
yeah, like they shape you since like when you got into school, when you got into university, they just shaping you that you fit into the system,
Yeah.
but not to be happy, not to work what it's you're passionate for. And that was like a calling for myself that you gotta find what really passionates you. So I decided like that I knew already that getting into finance and like in this corporate world, I didn't want to. Like I didn't feel purpose in that. Like I can do it, I'm good at
Yeah.
it, but I knew that I had a bigger purpose inside myself. I knew it. So I decided to ask the universe, and I was like, "Tell me, please, guide me. Which is my path? Which is gonna
Yeah.
be make me happy?" And then, like, I remember that there's a like synchronicity because according to spirituality, there are no coincidences. There are synchronicities. It means like there is a way that the universe is telling you something. And I
Yeah.
remember I had this idea of like becoming a psychologist, but for me in that moment it was really hard because it meant like I had to go back to school and then like no work, not getting my money, being dependent again on my parents. And I was like, that's not there's no way I'm just gonna do it. So
Yeah.
base I one day there was a friend who told me like there is this life coaching course. Why don't you do it? Like it's just like it's a trial for one day. And he was like, okay. And then I remember like
Yeah.
I did it for one day. And when I just got into the Zoom with all of the other people connected and they were speaking and that, I was like, this is this is what I asked the universe. This is what I've been looking
Yeah, you
for to
felt like the
do. Like
connection and
I
yeah.
felt the call, like this is what you gotta do.
Yeah.
So basically it was always driven by I need to do something that has a purpose. Like
Yeah.
I cannot go to an office and do whatever bullshit without any
Yeah.
purpose just for a
Yeah.
paycheck. That's not me, and I cannot. Like my soul doesn't allow me to
Yeah.
work in that
Yeah.
way.
100%.
So then I got into, since I was always interested into spirituality, I wanted a life coaching, but with a
Yeah.
spiritual approach.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I got enrolled in one that I really loved it. I'm super happy what they taught me and all my process, because basically during this time that you get certificated, you apply everything that you learn first in your own personal growth and
Yeah.
process. And there you are able to teach to others how you have healed, how you have like gone deep with yourself. And this is basically what I did. So I became more and more depth into spirituality and my connection with my soul, with the universe, and all of that really passionates me.
Yeah.
And during that certification, I met another gay guy, and I remember that he was always telling me like that he wanted to have like gay retreats and gay community and all of that. But I was never, like I told you before this podcast, that I never thought I was gonna end up helping other gay. Never.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we had to do something together. We had to work something like for an assignment that we had. And I remember that we did something regarding like being gay and how difficult it was and all of that. And then in
Yeah.
that moment, I had like a call that basically like a voice that told me, why don't you do a podcast? Everything
Yeah.
started like that. And I asked him like, would you be interested to doing a podcast with myself? And then we started developing the idea, and we really loved the name, which is Gay Powerment. And then we realized that we gotta help other gay people because we have suffered a lot as gay. Like
Yeah.
we have a lot of consequences of the homophobia of the environment in general, like the bullying,
Yeah.
the society, the church, everything. Like the world has always told us that being gay is wrong, that being gay is
That's
a
so true.
problem, being gay is
Yeah.
something that shouldn't happen. So basically we have a lot to heal, and
Yeah.
most of us are not doing it because we're not aware that we really need to heal. Like I'm really supportive of the idea that everyone should go on therapy, like the same way that we go to the
Yeah.
gym. Because for me, therapy is like gym, but for the brain.
Yeah. So
So
true.
we all should go to therapy, but as gays, even more,
Yeah.
because
So
we have
true.
like an extra layer to heal,
Yeah.
because we have like an extra difficulty
Yeah.
than than the rest of the world. So I wanted to like bring this awareness like of
Yeah.
we need to heal, and most of us like as community, and I was telling you like we don't actually do that the work. What we prefer is like use numbing methods
Yeah.
that we just gotta forget our problems and resolve trauma on the weekends. We party, we have sex, and this is how we cope. But that's not
Yeah.
efficient, that's not healthy, and there are even any other ways to do it, and you can be happier if you
Yeah. It's
really
so
work
true.
on you.
Yeah, it's so true because I think a part of it is sort of healing that sort of inner wounded
Totally.
child and the delay because like we said before, like whilst other adolescents are growing up living, in the heteronormative like
Yeah.
lifestyle, we're building walls up, we're protecting ourselves, and rejections will come in different ways, and it can still happen even now into adulthood. And so it takes a process to getting comfortable with yourself. Even now, like I think only in the last year or so, like in my workplace, I remember going in on the first day, my like most recent job, and just being like, look, I've got ADHD and I'm gay. When they do that introduction, I'm like, because I was so tired, like for so many years of like, I don't know, it was something that I'd always maybe keep work and something separate, or maybe I wasn't comfortable with myself in some way. And nowadays, I'm just like, look, to everyone, this is me. Like, take it or leave it. But it took a lot to get to that point. It took a lot of healing. It took a lot of wounds and really going through to the source of the pain. And a lot of people don't want to go to the source of the pain. They want to
Because it's
mask it,
painful.
and it's so easy
It's
to,
painful again.
yeah. I
But
think,
but you
yeah,
gotta do it. Like there's no way that you continue skipping it. Like
yeah,
it's like a snowball that goes bigger and bigger every day, and the day you gotta look at it, it's gonna be like overwhelming.
yeah, it's so true. Yeah, I think once the mask sort of comes off and it's like, okay, yeah, these are the things that are me and authentically me, and I'm okay with it. And if someone else isn't, then that's fine. But it doesn't have to affect me anymore. Like 10 years ago, it would have been the most devastating thing in the world, maybe this rejection. But now it's like that person's not my person and it's not involved in my life in any way and does not have any effect. So I don't have to take on that burden. It's like accept me as I am, or I'm trying not to swear, but piss off, as they say in England. And so I think once you reach that point of being comfortable with yourself, but it's a process for everyone, I know, and it's still like I'm sure for both of us, like we still uncover like different things, and we'll continue to,
Totally.
but it's very freeing when I always say the mask finally comes off and you just are like, yeah, this is me. And I'm not ashamed of any of these things anymore. So it's like, yeah, day one in a new job. Yeah, I'm gay. I've got ADHD. That's my introduction. Well, it was a bit
Nice,
longer than that, but
nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's awesome what you've done and getting, as well with the podcast now. I think it's going to be so helpful for people and sort of going forward. What's sort of your general plan now? Because I mean, you're quite busy, really. You've got the podcast and you've got all this going on. And I see your relationships improved a lot, as you said, like with your parents, and where do you see things sort of going over the next few years?
I mean, for the next few years, I fully want to dedicate myself into life coaching.
Yeah,
Like into, I mean, gay Powerment is one of my projects. Gay Anxiety is the other one that's for myself. And then I have my own personal brand, which is Juan Castillo, a spiritual life coach. And I want to dedicate to the three of them, like fully time. And something that I love and it's my dream is like to be able to be free to move around. Like I would like to
Yeah.
have to live like some maybe like I can go in a year like 2 months to Colombia, then like 2 other months to Thailand or Indonesia. Like I would like to experience this digital nomad life
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
because I don't like, to be honest, like this matrix in which we live that you gotta go to an office job and 9 to 5 and
Yeah.
you gotta live in a big city, which is like completely anti-natural. I
Yeah.
don't, I don't, I don't see myself in that scheme anymore. Like I'm super disconnected to that. So I just want
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
create like a life that has a purpose, which I already found, and which is like, and that I can be myself. And like I can be loyal to what I really want, and I'm a very free person, so I don't want to be tied to any place.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just want to be able to move around, to do different projects, and I don't know where this path is gonna lead me. Like you always end up evolving, and your ideas get super different. End up being super different than what you initially thought, but always better. So I'm really excited to be like this life. This is
Yeah.
basically like I want to have like an impact on people.
Yeah.
Like I know that it's my mission of life. Like I know that I came on this. I believe a lot in reincarnation. Like I
Yeah.
strongly believe that I came to this life to do that.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's awesome as well. And the progress and the journey that you've been on over the last few years. And I think as well, like talking on anxiety, like being able to be in the present when I think a lot of us grow up, we're so focused on the future because we want to get out of our town, our situation, whatever. And
That's
it
it.
trickles into adulthood and coming up with these hypothetical situations that are often negative because our upbringing was maybe had negative connotations with our sexuality. And being present is so important for
Yeah, mindfulness.
friendships and situations and people around you. So I think it's so great that you've managed to reach that place as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm of course like as everything, you have ups and downs. Like it's not every day the same, but
Yeah.
the important thing is like to have tools to cope,
Yeah.
but real effective tools. And this is what I learned in my certification and in my spiritual path. I have learned things that I can rely on, that are efficient, that really works for me, that really helps me to regulate anxiety and like to help me to trust. Like I think one of the things that we suffer when we are anxious, like we don't trust. Like I have learned to trust in the universe because if you think that you gotta do everything by your own, it's gonna
Yeah.
be super heavy. You
Yeah.
gotta carry a big weight, and you're always gonna be worried about like everything is gonna get wrong. You're like everything is gonna hurt you. But if you start to trust,
Yeah.
which is it's difficult as fuck. If you have not done it for 20 years, 25 years, suddenly like you start trusting something that you cannot see.
Yeah.
It's difficult, but it's such a relief, and
Yeah.
it
So
it
true.
it has given me results. Like truly, it has given me a lot of results.
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah, and you can see it, on your face, like, and the progress you've made. So I think it's super awesome. And I wanted to thank you as well so much for coming on today and sharing your story and being so open and vulnerable with it. And also, where can people find you? So for your podcast, social media links, so where should people go to for YouTube, Spotify, or your socials?
I mean, right now, a podcast is called Gay Powerment.
Yeah,
The bad thing is it's in Spanish, so that's the only thing. It's a Spanish podcast, but you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube.
yeah,
And we also have like TikTok and Instagram,
yeah.
also gay
That's awesome.
powerment like that. And then you can also find me as Juan C, I mean JUANC _ life coach, like
Yeah.
that on Instagram.
Yeah,
And I'm also really, I also wanted to thank you for, I mean, for this episode. Like, I got really excited talking about what it's my passion, and
yeah,
it's so nice to being able to have this, spaces where you can express your true self, and you can have an impact on people that is gonna listen to you.
yeah. I think, yeah. Thanks so much for coming on. I think it's so great, like the positive story that you're on in the journey, and so many exciting things to come as well with your podcast and everything. So it's like,
Yeah,
it's like I said before. I think when I did my presentation, Charlie XCX is having the year of Brat. You're having the year of gay Powerment. So it's like things are going super great. So I'm super happy for you with that.
thank you,
And so yeah, so thanks so much for coming on today, and thank you to all my guests. So for the Queerness Diaries, I can't believe it's episode 13, like I said already. And so yeah, thank you Juan for coming on today.
thank you, everyone.
And we will be back next week with another episode. So thanks so much, and ciao for now, everyone.
Bye.